We have in the studio Monsieur David Russet. Good morning and welcome to 96.3 Buzz FM. You are the chairman of the Port Vila Rodeo. You are also a cattle farmer here in the country. You're a businessman in Vanuatu back before independence up until now. So tell us more, a little bit of your story here in Vanuatu and also leading up to the big event that is happening this weekend on the 7th and 8th, which is the Port Vila Rodeo.
Good morning to you and thank you. We started our first rodeo back in 1974 when young jackaroo from Australia came into the country to work for various cattle farms here in the country. One of them is still here and is Joe Ernst, that is part of our subcommittee and he's also helping us. So Joe Ernst was at the time about 22 years of age and he helped organizing the first rodeo at Rentapao, and actually I was a rodeo man and compete on bull ride.
Now, when you say that it started off in 1974, what made this idea of bringing that sport into New Hebrides that time?
Being a local person born here, and being involved with horses and cattle, we were in admiration with rodeos, but we had no idea what to do and how to organize them. So when those young jackaroos from Australia came and they said, why don't we organize a rodeo? We said, yes, with pleasure. What can we do and how can we help? And then we started the first one.
But by the time you knew about the idea of rodeo involved in what animals?
All I knew was try to sit on a bullock and try to stay as much as I could. And actually, at the time, we were not. Now our rodeo men are wearing protection helmet, protection vest, and proper glove and everything. At the time, we had nothing. We just rode bear like this, and here we go.
Now, when 1934 up to independence, so why the idea stopped?
Then 1974. Then every year there was a agricultural show organized by the Kiwanis over 3 days at the one of the park there at
the seaside. Yes.
So every year the horses event would hold about 2 days of the agricultural show, and there was also a rodeo there. So it happened until about 1980. In the meantime, we went to Santo once, and I was part of it. And we organized a rodeo on South Santo, and then we organized another one on RHO, which is now VRTC. Mm-hmm. So there were 2 rodeos that we organized there before the independence. And then after the independence, things cooled down a little bit. And then back in 1987, team led by Claire Moloney, they organized a rodeo at Clabby Peak for 1 or 2 years, and then it died again. And people were busy with their work, and no one thought about organizing the rodeo until one day back in 2016. Claire Moloney contacted me and she said, "Would you be happy to organize a rodeo and horses event again?" And I said, "Yes, why not?" So we started the first one in 2016.
So the rodeo is not only a sport, but it is also a display of the richness in cattle from one farmer to another.
We call it rodeo actually, but it should be rodeo and horses event, because when we started the first event back in 2016, so the horses event takes would take half of the day every day, or more than half of the day. And those horses event, the aim of those horses event is for the riders that ride horses to improve their skill. Oh, right. And as such, we've also established a game called the Stockman Ability, whereby the horse and the rider must show what he can do with his horse during a working day. And then there are other events like slalom, flag race, and barrel race. Barrel race is a race that is practiced around the world actually. it's left to the woman, not the men, to the woman. But here we put the men and women together. So you have a grand final of barrel race around the world, and in Australia too, which I assist 1 year actually. So, and then we we have another game called the Stockman race. So our riders love the Stockman race. So there is always a big crowd that take part to the Stockman race. And then in the afternoon, we usually start with a rodeo on cattle, and then followed by wild horses. So really should be horses event and rodeo.
So the rodeo is, I mean, when we look at it, it's more like a kind of a tough game, a tough sports that involve human and animals, and it incorporates the horses and the bullock, which is the bull Makawi in Vanuatu. And now, tell us more about the difference between the stockman and the rider himself. What are their role when there is a rodeo event?
Now, first the stockman. When we started our first rodeo, we did it once a year. Then, as a rider myself and an experienced rider, I thought that our riders, especially the local one, were not riding very well and were not doing very well. So I said to the committee, I said, we're going to organize a rodeo and horses event every month for those riders to improve. Otherwise, we're never going to compete overseas and everything. So since a couple of years, we're doing a rodeo and horses event actually every month on Saturday. And then in October, we do the main rodeo, which is in 2 days, and that's when we invite people from overseas and everything. So after all those training and competition day we had, we now have some very strong riders on stockmen and some strong riders too on rodeos. So that's the first thing. And so a stockman is not necessarily a rodeo man actually, because to sit on a wild bullock, you need to have some guts. You need to you need to be brave. So a good stockman is not necessarily a rodeo man. So rodeo men are very brave when they sit on wild bull and wild horses. I used to ride wild bull. I don't know if I ever will ride a wild horse actually, because it goes everywhere.
So riding a horse and be part of a rodeo, there's no age limit. Because I know that you are still riding one.
Yeah, why am
and you're also participating in rodeo.
Why am I looking old or what?
No.
Well,
But is there a certain age limit?
no, there is no age limit to compete actually with horses, as long as you can ride your horse. And also some people like to come and compete because it's a day that for those people that love horses and animals, they're able to show the rest of the people what they can do with their horses, and they're happy with it. So there is no age limit actually.
Now, the rodeo is taking place this weekend, the 7th and the 8th of October. Now, the horses belong to one cattle farmer, or how many cattle farmers are participating in this rodeo show?
Well, historically, I supplied all the wild horses. They belong to us, to me. And Marco Traverso supplies the bull, actually. He will be supplying 25 bulls this time, and they're big bulls. And so other farmers can probably supply bull or steers for some other event for rodeos. But the main one, we have bulls from Marco Traverso. 1 year, Walter Fury supplied some nice bull too. So, but they usually belong to one person. But horses are a little bit more difficult to find and to breed and maintain because there is not as many as cattle, you see.
The last time I talked to your son, Dimitri, in this radio, he mentioned something about those bullock and those horses, that they have to keep them in a separate place for 1 year, that you just keep on feeding them, you don't ride them. So this is a way of bringing them in, and then that's why they show their wildness. How can I say that? That they perform wild in the arena?
Yeah, so those horses, we've got about 20 of them. They, especially for rodeo, they're wild horses, and we pick them up from another farm when they're about 2 years old or 2.5 years old, and then we try them at the rodeo, and when they become adult, then they become part of the rodeo. The older the horse will get, the more aggressive he will be actually, and those horses are kept in one of our paddock in one of our farm all through the year, and we use them for rodeo every month.
And then the bullock, because we know that in Vanuatu we have le charolais and all these species. So are they also part of this year's rodeo?
Before we get on to the bullock, I just would like to finish with the horses. So those horses that are used for the rodeo, we put a small saddle on it, what is called a rigging saddle, with the handle that the rider will have. And at the back of the horse, we put what we call a kicker. And that kicker will make the horse back, actually. If you don't put the kicker, sometimes they just run and they don't back. So the better you put the harder you put the kicker, the better it will be. But sometimes we have some horses that had enough of backing, so we spot them and we just break them in, and we use them for cattle work. You see, so those horses start to be rodeo horses, and sometimes some don't back anymore, so we remove them and we put some other one and we break them in and we use them. So that's the way it works out.
And then the bullock?
So the bulls, as you know, our country is one of the leading country in the South Pacific with cattle, and so we have a big herd and lots of bulls and steers that we can ride for rodeos. I said earlier on that Marco Traverso usually supplies steers, but other farmers like Caroline Brunet or Walter Furet or other farmers can also supply bull. The stack of bull that we can use actually.
Now, organizing such event is a big event that attracting people here in Fate, everyone residents of Port Vila, but not only Port Vila, but riders, stockmen from Santo and those from New Caledonia. Is it a positive sign that show that Port Vila Rodeo is growing and attracting more riders to come and participate?
It is important for the riders from Santo to come down to Vila and to compete against the rider of Vila, and vice versa. It is also important for us riders from Vila to go to Santo and compete. It creates a good atmosphere, and it also improves the riders. You see, sometimes you get a little bit blind when you're doing something, and when you see others doing, you say, yeah, that's the way I should be doing. So that's one part. The other part is New Caledonia is much more advanced on us with rodeo. They have rodeos every month, and they also send people to Australia for proper training on rodeos and everything. So they are a little bit our big brothers. But those people that come from New Cal, over the years, we became friends with them, and they love coming to our main rodeo, and they're actually supporting us and they're helping us. Just this morning, a team of 9 people arrived from New Cal, and they got big gifts like saddles and everything, which is very good from them. So they're more professional than us on rodeos, and we are watching them in order to improve. However, having said that, every year the New Caledonian Federation of Rodeo invite 2 or 3 of our riders to go and compete there. This year it was Dimitri that went with 2 riders to the Boai agricultural show, and they rode there actually, and they did not do too bad. The other comment I will make is one of the guys that usually comes from New Cal, his name is Patrice Pain, he does the security in the arena. He said to me last time, he said, you guys are training quite well. If you keep going like this, you will probably start beating our riders in your car. So
Wow.
we are on the correct track, actually. We need to continue.
But is there any agreement or some negotiation between Vanuatu Rodeo and New Caledonia Rodeo to have some exchange programs, like some trainer from New Vanuatu or riders and stockmen from Vanuatu to get some training from there?
There's no agreement, actually, a formal agreement. It's just a friendship, verbal shake-hand agreement, actually. And as I said to you, those people from Newcastle do support us a lot. And when they come here, we make sure they hosted correctly and they're happy and everything. And they, in return, they take care of us when we go there, actually.
So this year is going to be a bit different, or a similar activity that we had last year and since 2016 up until now?
No, it will be probably the same as last year, a little bit more professional, actually. For example, we've invited the guy that will take care of the security in the arena from New Caledonia. He's a professional guy. He does that in Newcastle. His name is Patrice Bain. And we also have a professional clown from New Caledonia. He will be doing the clown, and will also give some tuition to our clown here in Vila. We also have an experienced strapper. When you prepare the cattle or the wild horses into the chute, you've got to strap them correctly so they don't come out with a strap hanging out or something like this. So this guy will actually take care of that, and they're coming regularly, and he will give some tuition to our local guy to again during those 2 days. And then we have 6 confirmed riders from New Caledonia that will compete too. Yeah.
Wow. Now you mentioned clowns. What is the role in this rodeo?
The role of a clown, of clowns, actually, you need a minimum of 2 clowns in a rodeo. When the beast comes out of the chute and start to buck and buck, and then eventually the rider falls, the beast is very cranky and wants to turn round and come back for the rider. So the clown, that's when the clown start to wave at him, and the beast said, who is he, this one? I'm going to go for it. But then when there's 2 of them, there's one on the right-hand side and one on the left-hand side, and then he gets confused which one to go for. And that gives the time for the rider to stand up and to be picked up and to walk away, you see?
All right.
Yeah, so
but since 2016 up until now, there's no serious injury that bullock or horses caused to our riders or stockmen?
I'm touching wood here, and all those years we haven't had major problem. Some small casualty, but not major problem. However, I must say to you that on every rodeo we have pro medical at the rodeo on standby with qualified personnel to assist rapidly if there is a problem.
And now this big event demands also a fund to organize. Are there sponsors behind this year's rodeo?
We can only organize our rodeos with the good kindness of all the sponsors. Without the sponsors, it would be difficult for us to run our rodeos. So I take the opportunity today to thank all the sponsors that have been and are supporting us. We collect the money for the sponsors, we run our rodeos, and usually every year we give a check of around 800,000 Vanuatu to Pro Medical Rescue as a goodwill for the community. So that has been happening since the beginning, and most likely we're doing this year again on Saturday.
Wow. Now, we're coming to the end of our discussion in regards to the big event that will be happening this weekend, 7th and 8th. And now, on the wrap-up of looking at the past up until now, you see Vanuatu has potential of rodeo best riders in the Pacific as well to compete in any rodeos, either New Caledonia or Australia or anywhere else in the world.
That is correct. That is correct. We need to keep training, but slowly we're coming. Our riders are improving a lot, and we are very proud of them. And eventually, we are hoping to send some in Australia, for example, for a competition. And we we will keep sending them to Newcastle, and we see where we go.
Last remark that you want to share with the listeners and the viewers of 96.3 Baza FM. What will be your message to get them to the show this weekend?
For families, and because it's a family entertainment actually, so the horses event will start on Saturday morning around 8 o'clock. So come along. There will be lots of space for people to sit down, and there will be food and drinks there. And just come and enjoy your day and have a good laugh. For those kids that are fans with horses, they will be able to come and touch some horses and even sit on a horse actually.
Anything else?
Again, I thank all the people that are helping us to organize this rodeo. My committee behind me and the subcommittee, and they are very helpful and they do their best, and it has become probably the biggest social event in the country. Last year we had more than 4,000 people, so we're hoping to have the same one this year. Thanks very much.
More on that. Well, that's the chairman of Port Vila Rodeo, Monsieur David Russet, joining us in the studio, giving us more the history of rodeo back in the 70s up until now, and the big event that is happening on the 7th and 8th of October this coming weekend. He's not only the chairman of Rodeo Port Vila, but he is also a cattle farmer, a businessman in Vanuatu, 70s before independence up until now. So, Mr. Russet, thank you very much. You want to say another word? Okay.
I'm just reminding you that 3 years ago the government did request us to go and organize a rodeo in Tana, and it was a great week actually. We shifted everything. It was a Noah's Arch that went down to Tana, because we shifted our working horses, our wild horses, wild cattle, 25 riders. Everyone went down there with a stockyard and everything. We set it up and we did the rodeo. And believe me, the winner of the rodeo was a guy from Tana, and he was about 60 years of age. And he was the winner actually. Thank you.
All right. Monsieur David Russet, again, thank you very much for joining 96.3 Buzz FM on a rodeo event that will be happening this weekend. Thank you very much.
Thank you.